Okay, dah live.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum everyone. So I'm Dr. Atika from Department of Information System, KICT. So let's begin our session today by reciting Al-Kitab. Okay, thank you so much everyone for joining this session. Okay, this session is known as KICT Seek Knowledge session. So this is the session is conducted by the Office of Deputy Dean Postgraduate and Research actually. So in collaboration with the IIUM alumni and also the postgraduate student society and also the Deputy Dean of Student Development and Community Engagement and also the CPS Center for Postgraduate Study. So for today's topics is really interesting actually. So today we're going to have the topics of the real PhD journey and what next. So I would like to invite Dr. Murni, the Deputy Dean of the Postgraduate and Research for Kuliah of Information and Communication Technology as the moderator for this kuliah. So please, Dr. Murni. Dr. Murni, you are on mute.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. I think we are very grateful today to have Dr. Noshida, Associate Professor Dr. Noshida. She was our alumni. We still remember those times when we are working to finishing our PhD, of course at a different location, but I think the striving to finish the work, we still remember how complicated it was or exciting it was. So before I pass the floor to Dr. Noshida, I would like to read a brief of her biodata. She's currently at the Prince Sultan University based in Riyadh. 6 hours different time from us here, right? And she has published more than 100 papers, both in international journals and conferences. And I'm very proud to say, or excited to say, she obtained her PhD in Management Information System, perhaps among the first graduates from IIUM, from our kuliah. And before that, she has her Master of Business Administration from Ohio University in the US. And before that, she has also a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from University of Utah. And well, I think we can read her biodata in our website. But it was to mention that she also has certificate from Harvard Business School, and she's actually a certified enterprise big data professional. I think that is a really good credential. Dr. Noshida has wide industry and academia experience. Before she left for Riyadh, she was in UTM as a deputy dean. And definitely before that, she has spent 7 good years in IIUM, in KICT, also the Deputy Dean for Academic Affairs. Remember that we are working together, I was the head of department then. She's basically was like sort of my boss during that time, mashallah. So I'm really glad that Dr. Noshida is spending her time today with us, even though it's kind of limited, but inshallah we're going to get the essence of it. And I would also to take the opportunity to say thank you to Dr. Atika for organizing this. Very exciting, and also the participants who's joining us today. So without further ado, Dr. Noshida, I pass the floor to you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good afternoon, everyone. Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Murni and Dr. Atika, for again this invitation. I am truly honored to again come back and to give back to KICT and to my alma mater. you know, it is exciting experience to be sharing again, you know, in this knowledge sharing session about what's next, I think, for, you know, PhD students and PhD candidates. I think, yes, Dr. Murni, you know, it's kind of nostalgic, you know, to be looking the background that you have. That's the new building that I think I never did manage to enjoy. I mean, because like when I left, it was not there in existence. And basically, this talk also opens up, you know, to questions at a later stage, inshallah, you know, about my own experiences of the journey. Much of what I prepared today is, again, what's next, in line with the brief that I was given. And hopefully, you know, that would be of benefits, you know, to our PhD students, and also perhaps those, you know, who have graduated, you know, with their PhD, inshallah. So I would like to share my screen if it is possible.
Can you try to do that? Do you have?
Are you able to see my screen?
Coming, yes.
Oops.
Yes, we can see your screen, Dr. Noshida.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay.
You want to present the slides?
Yes. Is it coming out? Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. All right. Now the outline for today's session, I think I will talk a little bit about myself, and again, just to highlight, perhaps, you know, what has been my experiences since before and after obtaining my PhD, and then learning objectives. I think, you know, some of you who are here perhaps came up with certain expectations. Maybe we could clarify that. And then we go on to what really is PhD, what others could expect out of PhD graduates, and attributes. I think that, you know, regardless wherever we are, the expectations are the same, you know, for those who are first entering the job market with a PhD. And of course, challenges that could be facing, you know, PhD graduates, especially, you know, having completed the PhD degree in the pandemic. Then we look at perhaps, you know, what could be or what are the sources for higher education opportunities, in, if any, you know, of us are interested in working abroad, what could be our considerations. On the other hand, if you know anyone who is not into higher education, perhaps what could be the sources for freelance and entrepreneurship. And then, of course, we will, you know, have a quick Q&A session. Well, I think, as Dr. Murni has highlighted, yes, I obtained my PhD in Management Information Systems from International Islamic University. And prior to that, I again obtained my Master of Business Administration from Ohio University and a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics from University of Utah. Before joining the academia, in fact, I joined in 2004 as a lecturer at IIUM. I started on my PhD as a part-time student. I went into the program in 2001. And in the middle of my PhD journey, I switched from a part-time to full-time. I think that was sometime in 2005, and I managed to complete it in 2006, end of 2006. Because at that time I was working full-time with High Tech Padu. I joined High Tech Padu as a consultant in 1997, and you know, I left High Tech Padu as a manager. And much of the work with High Tech Padu was again to solicit new businesses, especially systems integration services for clients High-Tech Padu is into large contracts, yeah, IT contracts, yeah, and it is still, one of the big players in Malaysia. Of course, upon completing my Bachelor of Science degree, I joined, a small computer company, first as a programmer. So that's just a short while. But after that, I went on to AIA Malaysia as a business systems analyst. Throughout, of course, my career stint, I actually attended seminars, as part of professional development. But the most recent ones that I have highlighted was in certified enterprise big data professional, certificate from senior management development program with Harvard Business School, and of course, graduate certificate in management consultancy. And since, of course, PhD, getting PhD, I have been in higher education, and I stayed in IIUM for 7 years before moving on to University Technology Malaysia, where I joined UTM as associate professor and has remained associate professor since. And I was, in UTM for 3 years before moving on, going abroad, and I have been staying put at Prince Sultan University for now close to 8 years. Yeah. Now, Prince Sultan University is a private university, unlike UTM or IIUM that has the public, sector, again, public sector, based on public sector pillars in Malaysia. Prince Sultan is a not for profit, and it is a private university. It is much smaller than definitely IIUM, with only about 6,000 students. Yeah. Now, coming to the learning objectives, I think, perhaps I thought that I would share what would be the typical attributes of a PhD graduate, regardless where we are at any university for that matter. And if we are looking for, again, to build a career, there are certain expectations out of a PhD graduate. And of course, recognizing the pandemic these days, there will be definitely challenges for PhD graduates in, employment seeking. But I think these challenges perhaps, can be overcome with the necessary skills and experiences that can be built upon, again, by taking up, certain opportunities, perhaps in professional development. And of course, if a person feels that her personality or his personality is not well suited in a higher education environment, entrepreneurship could be an answer after, obtaining the PhD degree. So generally, now this is taken from Swinburne, Australia. Generally, the PhD degree itself is a doctoral degree with an academic focus. And there will be academic supervision where the candidate will develop a significant original piece of research, usually about 70,000 to 100,000 words. And it is recognized in many literature that, the impacts of a PhD is about new technology, new process, or new product, or new services, and also challenges in community acceptance, of the work of the PhD, the social impact that the PhD creates, the new legal or regulatory framework that it has on government, and of course, ethical issues surrounding PhD. And I have this to say too, about the PhD candidate. Yeah, basically, a PhD candidate is expected to demonstrate the highest academic standards, which I will again quickly explain in the next slide. Possesses the highest level of thinking order and work ethics, and adheres closely to Islamic ethics, of course. Whether during the PhD or after getting a PhD, now we need to understand that, the candidate and the graduate will find an abundance of opportunities regardless positive or negative. Okay, and we talk about negative, the opportunities also to behave unethically or un-Islamically. But do recognize that all opportunities are a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So therefore, you know, we need to choose wisely. I heard some voice out there. Can I continue?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. When we talk about the highest academic standards, basically we would comply to the Bloom's taxonomy, and the Bloom's taxonomy would again be focusing on, you know, for the PhD degree, okay, this part about creation and evaluation. Of course, supporting this would be all the other lower levels of Bloom taxonomy, all right, remembering, understanding, applying, and analyzing. And we do know, again, you know, for those of us here who are already in higher education, we do know that, you know, this basically in and out, especially the first 3 levels would be targeted at undergraduate learning objectives, whereas those of master's degree would focus on applying, analyzing, and a bit of evaluation there, and maybe a little of creation. But the main emphasis for PhD is always at creation and evaluation, okay, not to forget about analyzing and application. Yeah. So what PhD graduates are expected to be able to demonstrate, again, you know, those actions that that correspond to each level of the Bloom's taxonomy level. Yeah. Now, this is taken from Flinders University, but I don't think that there is much difference of, you know, from any other universities. Each university graduate will need to be able to demonstrate, you know, that research ability and critical thinking skills. Again, you know, how we would be able to come up with, you know, a piece of what we call our own. We are able to collect and synthesize and evaluate and make appraisals about data and, you know, show insights. And besides that, it has to show depth in our specialization or our expertise, be able to engage and create impacts, you know, among the community from our research output itself. To be aware about, you know, our own personal and professional development. And I think since 2008, you know, that the time that I finished my PhD, I remember that, you know, Malaysia was in its drive towards the developing this quality frameworks for higher education. I do remember that one of the components was lifelong learning. So I would connect this personal and professional awareness to lifelong learning. That means, you know, the ability for any PhD graduates to recognize, you know, areas that, you know, he or she will be able to develop independently and learn towards, again, you know, building skills and building experiences. The other skills would be research communication, how well that we can communicate our expertise, how well that we can see opportunities and grab and seize opportunities, especially you know, in seeking research grants. Yeah. I think that will be really helpful to understand that without research communication here, presentation of our research findings, writing it, you know, for the community, it is a very, again, it is a skills by itself that, you know, I would imagine that a transferable skills that no matter where we are, that we need to, again, have this and enhance this. Yeah. Integrity and ethics, again, to comply to standards, policies, general rules and regulations in research and ethics, yeah. Teamwork and collaboration, because especially when we are applying and seeking grants, we normally would not do it alone, because that would just be looking at our own perspectives, but we need to engage with other people, and therefore project management and research strategy. So we need to manage our research as a project itself, okay, with timelines, again, defining the research objectives, so that at the end of the day that, we would fulfill what we set out to be. Now, coming to part 2, challenges of PhD graduates. One of the things that I have been following, especially in doctorate support group that, everyone might be part of, in Facebook, yeah. I think that there is again, a concern, okay, in Malaysia right now over the growth of doctoral candidates. And all of these that I have seen is basically from other Western perspectives, yeah. But now it's coming into Malaysia. There's definitely competition for jobs, higher education jobs among PhD graduates. There is a perception too that those who graduate with PhD are overskilled, and employers may not see the clarity on the value of PhD, and therefore that's they might have the perception PhD graduates are overqualified, and typically research jobs for PhD graduates almost are non-existent. And it seems that the perception is higher education, those with PhD are good for higher education jobs, yeah. And these days, because of the growth in doctoral candidates, okay, we see that there are higher supply than the demand, okay, demand from employers. And especially, in the pandemic, where we see a lot of employment freezes, for example, higher education is not hiring due to low enrollment, for example, the possibility of even schools getting closed. I think this again becomes, a press concern among doctoral candidates and even graduates, yeah. And this has been again emphasized in OECD and WE Forum because COVID-19 triggered one of the worst jobs crisis since the Great Depression. It is not just higher education; it is everywhere and every industry. It shows an increase in poverty and widened inequalities. But of course, those who have been deeply affected, those with less formal education, on low pay, they are in the women and the young group segment, all right? And these groups are basically the ones that are more likely to lose their jobs. So let's move on to part 3. Now, if we are seeking for higher education employment opportunities, what would be the sources that we would be looking for? Now, in Malaysia, definitely, it is the job street, besides, of course, each and every university website, okay? But there are also other providers, such as academic keys. If we are seeking beyond Malaysian shores, we could look at academic keys, Association for Information Systems. I believe many IS graduates or IS candidates, would be again a member of the AIS. Acadius, Time Higher Education, Higher Ed Jobs, and Glassdoor. In the Middle East, many jobs are posted in Higher Ed. If anyone is interested, to see what could be the offerings abroad, Higher Ed Jobs, is a good source. Yeah. A career in the academia, what should we expect? I think, all of us, have to expect that we will need to do teaching. Yeah. However, especially in some universities, there are what we call teaching versus research emphasis. That means if we are just teaching, yeah, our research might be, a lower component of the time that we spend. However, if we are research emphasis, then we are expected to produce research outputs. And of course, not to mention that if we are full-time in the academia, we would be expected to perform administrative duties. That means these are active engagement activities beyond teaching. We are part of a school that we will be again participating in policy decision making, besides other activities below, like academic advising, seeking research grants, research and scholarly publications, even community service. Okay, when we talk about community service here, it is voluntary serving specific community without pay, especially not for profit organizations. Or we could be again engaged in paid consulting in government agencies or private organizations. And if it is a research emphasis university, we could be expected to supervise postgraduate thesis and dissertation if the programs has these components. Yeah. So all in all, there are, some again, maybe some candidates have the perception that it is just about teaching. Unfortunately, these days, with many universities around the world that go for ranking, they are emphasizing on research output, research publications, and therefore the research component has become very significant over, I think, over the last few years. Yeah, and in Malaysia, I think in the last 1 decade. What do we need to recognize about professional development? I think wherever we go, we will build network of friends, network of, again, colleagues, working colleagues, and of course, develop our communication skills. And it is very, for me, I think this is very important, although this is taken from QSEC, but QSEC and colleagues here have articulated the importance of professional development and what are the areas in our career as an academic and faculty member. Yeah. Also, very importantly, to abide by ethical guidelines in universities. Again, in many universities these days, they are made clear at websites regarding what is expected, research policies, research design, even communication of our research output. Yeah. And marketing of research skills. Now, to market our research skills, of course, requires communication skills, yeah, especially in seeking research grants, and also will require collaboration against peers and colleagues. Yeah, so this is where networking comes in, and be able to define, again, beneficiaries, those who can benefit from our research output. So the very critical understanding of ourselves, what we would like to produce, and what others sees as would be useful from our product. Yeah. Now, some selected professional development providers. Okay, if we find that at any time, for example, that we would like to further our skills, yeah, further enhance our skills, then we could again sign up, okay, to some of these professional development providers. Coursera and EDX, they are known as MOOC, okay, Massive Open Online Courses, and some certification like Project Management Institute or Pink Elephant. They are towards certification. That means we would have to have series of courses before we can again apply to be to be certified in that again that particular skills. Yeah. expert in that area. Cybion is a provider in Malaysia, okay, that offers many courses in IT too. And some of these courses, they're not only certificate based, but also certification. Yeah. And short courses, especially in analytics or even quantitative skills offered to the UK's Operational Research Society. So I think there are abundance of opportunities, abundance of providers out there. Again, the internet has facilitated all this. So it is a very, a very easy way of getting through. It's a matter of, whether we do have the will to do that, and, what area that we wish to further enhance ourselves in. Again, some of us might be thinking about what if we would like to work abroad. So I share here some of my experiences, of what to expect. Yeah. It can be very challenging, to work abroad away from family. Basically, if we do think that we would like to bring our family along, there are some, again, considerations that we need to put on. For example, our school-going children, our spouse, getting another job for the spouse, for example. If we have dependents like parents or any other dependents, how will they be, will they have support system, for example, in the event that we're not there with them. So parents and other dependents, for example. Language, if English is not the first language, now that could be a barrier in terms of smooth settling down. For me, I think, because English is not the first language here, so during the initial phase of my settling down, getting around the city for the first time, opening bank account, it was pretty difficult for me. Expenses, again, to incur from the time of arrival until the first paycheck. We will not be again expected, to basically, have our paycheck immediately when we come. So we need to put in efforts. All right. Again, the first paycheck might be coming a bit later than anyone else, for example. Different national and organizational culture. Again, from my own experience, how we are raised, how we have been, for example, how we have been developing ourselves in schools, in our own country is different from what it is. All right, in a new country, there's also expected anywhere we go, there are office politics, different administrative systems, so different work ethics. So we need to unlearn what we have learned and relearn, okay, all these new things. Support system in new country, in the event that we fall sick, for example, do we have friends, do we have relatives whom we can count on? And most important, I think, the question that we need to ask ourselves, whether we are ready to make a huge change in our life moving abroad. And I think, we need to have a backup plan, in case the things that we expect do not turn out to be the way that we want them to be. And what would be that backup plan? Now, some of us who might not be, again, into higher education, a university job, could be considering entrepreneurship. There have been research by Huli and colleagues here that, there are some who probably have established their own enterprise, okay, and be doing their doctoral. They had other jobs besides higher education and also university researcher. So some of them could be managing projects of their own, be a trainer, be a business analyst, be in research and development, market and social researcher, investment banker, or management consultant, or patent examiner, and broadcasting profession, depending on, again, the fields or the discipline that we're doing our PhD here. Yeah. And again, where could be the sources for freelance and entrepreneurship here? Where can we get jobs, for example? Yeah. Now, most of us would realize, all right, the typical, the typical economy that we are in right now is the gig economy. Yeah. In the gig economy, there is a market creator that actually, be the meeting point for the supply and demand. Yeah. So Amazon Mechanical Turk is one of them, where we can find jobs. For example, again, I have explored Amazon Mechanical Turk again for research respondents. Yeah. There are also Gigster or freelancer. So we can actually just go through the kinds of jobs and the expected, offers, open for the different types of jobs. Yeah. Some of them are IT oriented, IT based, especially, development of programs, systems, or algorithms. Yeah. Some of them are, again, research. Some also graphics design, or some could be also writing pieces. Yeah. But Cradle is Malaysian based. They are open. They open again funding for ideas, and of course, it has to go through certain processes. Okay, based on these ideas. Okay, there could be an expectation for presentations, discussions over the ideas, and the research funding. We call the seed funding. So I'm coming to the end of this slide. I just would like to share, okay, in the UK, all right, there is this piece of research, okay, that has been shared. Again, the employment of PhD graduates in the UK. And this has been, quite recent too. But, most of this research that I find, in the UK or in the Western, yeah, some research could be, could go as far as 10 years ago or even 5-6 years ago. Maybe at that time, the situation could be different in Malaysia. But, right now with the pandemic, I find that the situation, the challenges facing what was in the Western countries now in Malaysia is not much of a different. So if any one of us is interested to know more about, again, the prospects, okay, for PhD graduates in the UK, feel free to just browse this to learn more about it. I do have, again, PhD graduate whom I supervise and who managed to get a job, at the university in the UK, a teaching job in the UK. Yeah. I think that's about it. If you would like to reach out to me, this is my email address. I would thank you again for listening, and just open the floor for any questions.
Thank you very much, Dr. Noshida. I think that was really insightful, as you covered from what's the meaning of PhD, and then you're talking about the skill that you need, skill that you acquire, and then how from the skill after you graduate you can do it for your personal development. And I think really helpful that when you mentioned about how to maybe living abroad, I think that's quite helpful. And I think I'm really grateful that you're mentioning some of these resources that valuable maybe some of us would like to to explore afterwards. So yeah, maybe again let us open to the members or to the participants. If you have any feedback, I'm sure some of you wanted to say hi to Dr. Noshida, and maybe yes, question and answer, please. Dr. Adamu, do you have any?
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. I'm so excited to see Dr. Noshida back again. Alhamdulillah, after a long time, I think. Oh, although I remember she came here some time ago and we met in KICT building, but Alhamdulillah. Anyway, I have a question. It may look hypothetical, but I would like to use your experience because it's very important in my position now. The question is simple. Assume you are the dean or you are responsible for allocating supervisors to PhD students, fresh PhD students. And your staffs are in three categories. The majority of them are new staff, maybe 1 to 2 years old after finishing their PhD. And then you have few senior professors, and then some in between them. And majority of the fresh are not having any students for life. So if you are the dean and it's your responsibility to do this allocation for a fresh new PhD student, how will you strategize that?
I think that would be, again, supervised by the Deputy Dean Postgraduate Research, I believe, yeah. The Dean would not go into, the specific details of that. And I think based on my experience, whether it is in IIUM and UTM, it is, again, looking at the expertise of the academic, the faculty member itself. The research topic that is proposed by the applicant, that would have to be, again, discussed with the committees. And then, of course, the faculty member is willing, the willingness of the faculty member. If, for example, that the faculty member wishes to move into a new topic, this again, the applicants, whether he or she is willing to supervise this particular new topic. I think there are a lot of considerations there. Now, it is also possible that there is a joint supervision too, again, whether if we think about, for example, a new or a just newly graduated PhD, I think there is a possibility of joint collaboration, because that will be helpful to see, how a more senior faculty member supervises. And then again, how would if it is in the same research domain, for example, how will each of these faculty member segregate or make the area or topic distinct? I mean, in terms of contributions there, to the PhD research. So perhaps I would imagine perhaps the more senior faculty member would be responsible for the methodology, or even for the data analysis, but the junior faculty member would be more, again, in the area of the literature, like the trends, what are the trends, for example, about the new topic or the new area. So this is how I would imagine collaboration would take place. And again, when it comes to joint publications, I would imagine also there would be the same discussion among all these interested parties. I hope that answers your question, Dr. Adamu.
Sure, within wide range.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Noshida. Is there any other questions? Perhaps if there's no questions, maybe something that I really interested to learn from you. Quite basic questions, actually. We are coming from industry. Right? We spend some time in industry.
Yes.
And maybe I just would like to learn what actually motivates you to come to academic, and then having to go through to finish PhD, and we end up being an academic. Why is it so for you?
I think there was so much at that time in 2003. I think there was so much that I had, I felt that I had achieved in the industry. And I think there was nowhere else or no more other new things that I can get from the industry. I think that was the turning point. Okay. And even, when one of the motivations to do PhD was, again, I looked at a piece of research, again, that was prepared, okay, by one of the companies in the industry. And I felt that I wanted to have more depth. It cannot be just that. Okay. So where's the best place to go? It is academia, right? That means that, if you want to learn more about the methodology, if you want to learn more about data analysis, I felt that I think that was PhD. That was the feeling at that time. And that's the reason for me joining IIUM. I think the other thing was I found that it was pretty convenient. IIUM in fact advertised in the New Straits Times. Now people don't really buy any more newspaper these days, yeah. But at that time it was the paper New Straits Times. It was huge advertisement. Again, inviting applications for masters and PhD, and then I saw this huge MIS, and I thought, wow, this is what I've been doing for most parts of my life at that time. I think that was the turning point, Dr. Murni. When you don't have anything else to learn, and you find that that's the maximum you can go to. In terms of your potential, it is not what people say about me. It is my own drive, that I felt that there's something more I think I can achieve. Yeah. Yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, definitely. I think that's really important. Why I ask you this question, because sometimes a lot of our candidates may be going into PhD, doing research without clear objective, and it's so easy for them to fall apart in between. So if we have that strong drive that I'm going, because just like yourself, there is nothing much anymore in industries, and then you can see that if you go to academic, you will make a lot more difference with the new knowledge that you will do. Then I think that is a very good forcing power for us to continue and persevere in the journey of the PhD. And I think the fact that you have laid out a lot of possibilities and potential after getting PhD, I hope that also will motivate many of us. Maybe last time when we talk about PhD, become academic, become associate professor, become professor, but nowadays you have a lot of options. And even a lot of industries now, I think, becoming so appreciative about the methodology, about the analysis of data, for example, the depth of the study that we do with the PhD skill. I think that is something that's really interesting. Even you mentioned about become entrepreneur, for example, which is maybe last time we never thought of it, but now it's become very open. Yeah, maybe any questions that our participants would like to share? Perhaps Dr. Noshida, to end the session, perhaps because we have some students here and then we have young academics here, maybe you want to share a few words of advice before we end the session, Doctor?
Yes, I think at the end of the day, why we would like to go for higher degree, there must be reasons. Each reason is personal to any individual. Once upon a time, I went, to a doctoral colloquium in Australia. Yeah. And this piece of advice that, again, this professor shared with us, in that doctoral colloquium, he said a very simple words. He said very simple words, okay, which the same thing that I would, I would also share. He said, just go and get your PhD. If that's what you started off and you find that, you have very solid reasons, finish it off. Yeah. And even like, there are, from the very beginning of the presentation, there are abundance of opportunities. It is how we, seize the opportunities. At the end of the day, yes, it is rezeki from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, right? However, I believe, this is what I believe, hard efforts and dua, inshallah, will it is something that go together. We cannot just do the degree and then not doing anything about it. We cannot just make dua and not do anything about it. So it has to be together. And again, when we share our knowledge, again, this is what we believe too. We in whatever platform, it is part of sedekah. Yes, so and I feel that it doesn't matter, whichever community, that we share our knowledge, inshallah, hopefully, our life has more barakah. Dr. Murni?
Yes, yeah. MashaAllah. I think that's a really deep advice, Dr. Noshida, right? When we do it, just finish it. Just do it and then finish it, inshallah. There is a tricky question from Dr. Aznan. Bila nak balik?
Balik cuti tiap tahun, insyaAllah. Balik for good. As long as khidmat masih diperlukan, insyaAllah, I think it is again, khidmat diperlukan, and that is actually an indicator for me, I mean, again, to serve. Wherever we are, there are again pros and cons, definitely, not to say everything is a bed of roses, but I do believe that, again, I am here to provide services, based on what I have, my expertise, my knowledge. So ada peluang untuk share kan.
Alhamdulillah, Dr. Noshida, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This time and spending, sharing your knowledge and experience. I think it has been really great. We are really grateful. So with that, I would like to thank you again. So I'm going to pass this session to Dr. Atika. Dr. Atika, pass back to you. Thank you very much again.
Okay, thank you
everyone
so much, Dr. Murni, and thank you so much, Dr. Noshida. I learned a lot from you, so thank you so much. Thank you so much, because I also a new staff here, so this really helped me actually. Thank you, Dr. Noshida. Okay, so this is the end of the Seek Knowledge session. So I hope that this will benefit all of us too, especially our PhD students. Thank you so much. So now I would like to end our session with reciting Tasbih Kifarah and Quran.
Maybe after that we're going to have a quick picture, maybe?
Oh, okay, maybe we can recite the first and then we have a picture, okay. Okay, let's have the picture. Anyone want to open your camera? Please do so.
Please open the camera. I mean, to me, I feel this is really special moment, having, alumni coming back, and it's really great. Okay, please open their camera if you can. So we're going to take picture now. Thank you, Shuhada. So 1, 2, 3. Right. I think I got everyone, child. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Shida.
Thank you.
Bye.
InsyaAllah jumpa lagi, insyaAllah.
InsyaAllah jumpa lagi. Alhamdulillah.
Salam kat kawan-kawan kat sana.
InsyaAllah.
Okay,
You're welcome. Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.